I walked into Dr. Patricia Morrison's office on a dull Tuesday morning in February, expecting nothing more than routine. At 62, annual executive physicals were just another box to check. ID built Chen Properties from a single duplex in Richmond into one of Vancouver's most respected development firms. ID survived prostate cancer 5 years earlier. ID buried my wife, Margaret, 3 years ago after losing her to breast cancer. I believed ID already paid my dues to hospitals and doctors for a lifetime. Patricia Morrison had been my physician for 15 years. I trusted her without hesitation. So when she asked me to sit down and wore that look, the careful, measured expression doctors use when they're about to say something you don't want to hear, my stomach tightened immediately. My first thought was cancer. "Robert," she said, sliding a folder across her desk, "your blood work looks excellent. Cholesterol is down. Blood pressure is better than most men your age." I let out a slow breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "But," she continued gently, "there's something we need to talk about." That single word, but, hit harder than anything else she could have said. "It's not back, is it?" I asked. "The cancer?" "No," she said quickly. "Nothing like that." She paused, choosing her words with care. "Do you remember the complications after your surgery in 2020? The additional procedures we had to perform during recovery?" Of course I remembered. Recovery had been brutal. Painful. Slow. "One of the long-term outcomes of those complications," she said, "is that you're completely and permanently infertile. There's no medical possibility of you fathering a child naturally. That's been documented in your file for years." I nodded, confused more than upset. Margaret and I had already raised our son, Michael. He was grown. At my age, children weren't even a remote consideration. "I understand," I said. "Michael's 34. I'm not exactly planning on starting over." Patricia leaned forward slightly. "Robert," she said quietly, "you listed Jessica as your emergency contact on your intake form. She's your wife?" "Yes," I said. "We married 4 months ago." "Why?" Her expression changed, not dramatic, but serious enough to make my chest tighten again. "She called yesterday to reschedule today's appointment," Patricia said. "She said she wanted to be present for the results because of her pregnancy." The words didn't register at first. "She said she's 14 weeks along," Patricia continued. "And that you're the father." The room went strangely quiet. That must be a misunderstanding," I said slowly. "Jessica wouldn't say that." "I have the message recorded," she replied. "She asked whether your medications could affect the baby." I stood up without realizing I was doing it. My legs felt unstable. "There's been some mistake," I said. "That can't be right." Patricia looked at me steadily. "Robert, given your medical history, if your wife is pregnant, you need to understand something very clearly," she said. "Biologically, unequivocally, you cannot be the father. It's impossible." The room tilted. 7 months earlier, I had met Jessica at a charity auction for the Vancouver General Hospital Foundation. She had been graceful, polished, and calm. She told me she was a widow too. Her husband, a Canadian diplomat, had died in a boating accident in Greece 3 years earlier. She understood grief. She understood loneliness. We connected quickly. Too quickly, Michael had warned. But after 3 years alone, I had wanted companionship. Jessica had seemed effortless, refined, intelligent. She fit into my life without friction. And now this. "Robert," Patricia said softly, "I'm telling you this because I care about you. If your wife is claiming this child is yours, something is very wrong. You need to protect yourself." I drove home in a fog. My mind ran through every explanation it could reach for confusion, misunderstanding, coincidence, but none of them fit. If she was 14 weeks pregnant, the timing didn't leave room for doubt. When I pulled into the circular driveway of our Shaughnessy home, a house Margaret and I had shared, a house where we raised Michael, I felt something shift inside me. Jessica had redecorated after our wedding in October. At the time, ID thought she was simply settling in. Now, every change felt calculated. She was in the living room arranging flowers when I walked in. Her face lit up instantly. "Darling, you're home early," she said warmly. "How was the appointment?" I stood there, studying her face, looking for anything: hesitation, guilt, uncertainty. "Jessica," I said, "Dr. Morrison told me you called yesterday." "Oh yes," she said easily. "I wanted to be there, but I had a meeting with the gala caterer." "You told her you were pregnant." Her smile widened. "I was going to surprise you tonight," she said, taking my hands. "I'm 14 weeks along. Dr. Chen confirmed it." I pulled my hands away. "That's not possible," I said. Her expression flickered, just for a fraction of a second, then smoothed over. "What do you mean?" "I can't have children," I said. "The surgery. The complications. I'm infertile." She sat down slowly, placing a hand on her stomach. "I don't understand," she said. "Are you accusing me of something?" I wanted to believe her. But the doctor's words echoed in my mind. "Something is very wrong." "I need time," I said. "I'm going to my study." I locked the door behind me and made one phone call. To my son. And that was the moment everything truly began. The second I shut the door to my study, the silence hit me like a wave. This room used to be where I made decisions, real ones. Deals, contracts, staffing plans, the kind of quiet choices that shaped years. But that afternoon, I didn't feel like a businessman. I felt like a man standing on the edge of something he couldn't see, trying not to fall. Downstairs, I could hear Jessica moving around the kitchen. Cabinets opening, water running, the casual sounds of someone perfectly comfortable in my home. Like she hadn't just dropped a bomb on my life and smiled through it. I stood by the window for a moment, staring out at the gray Vancouver sky, then finally did the one thing I knew would ground me. I called Michael. He picked up on the second ring. "Dad?" he said. "You okay? You don't usually call during work hours." "I need you to do something for me," I said. "And I need you to do it without asking a bunch of questions right now." There was a pause. I could hear him shift, like head sat up straighter. "Okay," he said carefully. "What is it?" "I need a private investigator," I told him. "Someone discreet. Someone good." Another pause, longer this time. "Dad," he said, voice dropping, "what the hell is going on?" "Not over the phone," I replied. "Can you come by tomorrow morning? Early. Before Jessica's awake." Michael didn't hesitate. "He'll be there at 6:30, he said. 6:25 if traffic's light." That night, Jessica cooked my favorite meal. Wild salmon, roasted vegetables, a glass of white wine for herself, sparkling water for me. She moved around the kitchen with practiced ease, telling me about flower arrangements for the foundation gala, talking about nursery colors, baby names, and how excited everyone would be once we announced it publicly. She even laughed at one point, like we were living inside a normal life. Either she was the most talented actress I'd ever met, or she genuinely believed she could keep lying until the world bent to match her story. I nodded along like a man half asleep. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. I spoke when I was supposed to speak. But inside, everything felt cold. When she kissed me goodnight, I felt nothing except a hard knot of dread in my stomach. I lay awake listening to her breathing, wondering how you end up sleeping beside someone you no longer recognize. At 6:25 the next morning, Michael arrived. I met him at the front door with my finger pressed to my lips. He took one look at my face and didn't ask questions out loud. I led him straight to my study and shut the door behind us. "Jesus," he whispered. "Dad, you look terrible." "What happened?" So I told him. All of it. The appointment. Dr. Morrison. The infertility. Jessica's phone call. The claim that she was 14 weeks pregnant with me as the father. Michael didn't look shocked the way I expected. He looked angry. Like something had clicked into place for him. "I knew something was off," he said. "From the beginning." I rubbed a hand over my forehead. "Don't start with 'I told you so.'" "I'm not," he said, leaning forward. "I'm telling you, Eve felt it for months. The way she rushed things. The way she slid into your life like she belonged there. The way she kept you busy. She didn't keep me busy, I said automatically. Michael raised an eyebrow. Dad, when's the last time you had dinner with James and Linda? He asked. They were your best friends for 20 years. When's the last time you played golf with the Tuesday group? I opened my mouth, then closed it. Jessica always had something planned. A dinner. A fundraiser. A couple's event. A trip. Or she'd say she wasn't feeling well and wanted me home with her. At the time, it felt like marriage. Like partnership. Now, it sounded like isolation. Michael's voice softened just slightly. I'm not blaming you, he said. I'm telling you this because it matters. Con artists separate people from their support system. That's step one. The word con artist made my stomach tighten, but I couldn't argue with the logic. I have someone, Michael said. Thomas Riley. Former RCMP. Runs a private investigations firm now. eBay used him for due diligence on investments. He's thorough, and he's discreet. Set it up, I said. Michael nodded once. Today. That afternoon, I met Thomas Riley at a small coffee shop in Kitsilano, far from my office and far from anywhere Jessica would normally go. Thomas was in his 50s, graying hair, sharp eyes that didn't wander. The kind of man who notices everything without making it obvious. He shook my hand and got straight to it. Mr. Chen, he said. Michael gave me the outline. I'll be honest, you need to prepare yourself. If your wife is lying about something this big, there's usually more behind it. There's almost always more. I just need the truth, I said. He nodded like he'd heard that exact sentence 100 times. Then he'll need access, he said. Financial records, personal information, her identification, everything you have. Timeline of how you met, where she's been, who she's connected to. I handed over copies of our joint bank statements, the ID Jessica had shown me, and a simple timeline of our relationship: auction, dinners, engagement, wedding, move-in. Thomas took it all without reaction, like a doctor collecting symptoms. Give me a few days, he said. And Mr. Chen, act normal. Don't confront her. Don't test her. Just watch. That part was harder than I wanted to admit. Because every time Jessica smiled at me across the breakfast table, I felt like I was looking at a stranger wearing a familiar face. 3 days later, Thomas called me. His voice was flat. We need to meet, he said. Not your house. Not your office. Somewhere private. My heart sank. Okay, I said. Where? My office in Burnaby, he replied. And Mr. Chen, he paused just long enough to make my skin go cold. You're not going to like what I found. Thomas Riley's office sat on the 3rd floor of a nondescript building in Burnaby, the kind of place you'd never notice unless you were looking for it. I arrived 10 minutes early and spent those minutes staring at the frosted glass door, rehearsing calm explanations in my head. Misunderstandings. Clerical errors. Mistaken identity. The kind lies we tell ourselves when we're not ready for the truth. Thomas opened the door right on time. Mr. Chen, he said, stepping aside. Please, sit down. His office was functional, not personal. Filing cabinets along the walls. Whiteboards covered in timelines and names I didn't recognize. No family photos. No clutter. He didn't waste time. Jessica Hartwell doesn't exist, he said flatly. I blinked. What do you mean she doesn't exist? I mean the woman you married is not who she claims to be, he said. The real Jessica Hartwell died in a car accident in Ontario in 2015. Your wife has been using her identity. The air left my lungs in a single, quiet rush. Thomas slid a folder across the desk and opened it. Her real name is Sarah Martinez. She's 43, not 40. Born in Calgary. Dropped out of university after 2 years. Married 3 times before you. He placed a photograph in front of me. The hair was darker. The clothing less refined. But the eyes were unmistakable. That's her, he said. Same woman. My hands started to tremble. Her first husband, Thomas continued, was David Hartwell. The real Jessica Hartwell's brother. He was a Canadian diplomat stationed in Athens. I swallowed. He died in a boating accident. Yes, Thomas said. In 2018. Fell from his yacht in the Aegean Sea. Ruled accidental drowning. He paused. Sarah inherited just over $2 million from life insurance and his estate. My stomach turned. Her second husband was Thomas Bradford, Thomas went on. Oil executive from Calgary. Married in 2020. I already knew what was coming, but it still hit like a blow. He died in 2021. Single vehicle crash near Banff. Thomas slid another document forward. Sarah collected approximately $3 million from his insurance and estate. I stared at the desk. After Bradford's death, Thomas said, she disappeared for nearly 2 years. Then resurfaced in Vancouver last summer using the stolen identity of Jessica Hartwell. I felt dizzy. And the pregnancy? I asked quietly. Thomas opened another folder. There is no pregnancy, he said. She's been wearing a custom silicone prosthetic. Very high quality. We have video. He turned his laptop toward me. The footage showed Jessica, Sarah, inside a parking garage, lifting her dress and strapping the prosthetic belly into place. I looked away. There's more, Thomas said. He explained that she had another apartment in Surrey rented under a different name. That she'd been meeting there regularly. Her brother lives there, he said. Carlos Martinez. 36. Prior conviction for fraud and identity theft. Served 18 months. My voice sounded distant even to me. What are they planning? Thomas leaned back. Based on patterns from her previous marriages, he said, there are 2 likely outcomes. Either she divorces you, paints you as unstable or abusive, and takes a large settlement, then you die within a year. Or she finishes adjusting your legal and financial documents, then stages your death directly. Suicide or accident. I closed my eyes. The fake pregnancy? I asked. Isolation and sympathy, he replied. It keeps you compliant. Keeps friends and family from asking questions. And if you start doubting her, she claims a miscarriage caused by stress you created. I sat there in silence, staring at the photographs of a woman I thought I knew. Thomas broke it gently. Mr. Chen, this is bigger than you. I need to bring in someone else. The next day, Detective Karen Wong from Vancouver Police's Financial Crimes Unit joined us. Calm. Direct. No wasted words. We have enough to open an investigation, she said, but not enough yet to arrest her. How long? I asked. Weeks. Maybe months, she said. Until then, you need to act normal. If she suspects anything, she disappears. And my safety? Well, have surveillance on your home. Plainclothes officers. And you need to change your will immediately. I met my lawyer that same morning. What we found made my blood run cold. Jessica had been positioning herself carefully. Methodically. She'd been added to accounts. Added to property documents. Made beneficiary on a $5 million life insurance policy. She hadn't rushed. She'd planned. When Detective Wong introduced a forensic accountant, Patricia Reynolds, the picture got worse. She's already taken roughly $450,000, Patricia said. And she's opened credit lines in your name. Maxed them out. Every layer revealed another lie. That night, I sat across from Jessica at dinner while she talked about baby names. Sebastian. Charlotte. I nodded. Smiled. Excused myself early. And for the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to live inside a lie so carefully constructed that the truth could kill you if you moved too fast. I had no choice now. I had to wait. And hope she made a mistake before it was too late. Waiting was the hardest part. Every morning, I woke up beside Jessica and reminded myself to breathe normally. To move the way I always had. To speak in the same calm tone. To act like nothing inside me had been torn apart. The police told me the same thing over and over. If she senses anything, she disappears. So I played my role. I kissed her cheek before work. I asked about her meetings. I listened while she talked about the baby as if it were real. I nodded while she showed me paint samples for a nursery that would never exist. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while she slept peacefully beside me, one hand resting on that silicone lie strapped to her body. Detective Wong had officers watching the house. Unmarked cars. Plainclothes surveillance. I never saw them, but knowing they were there was the only thing that kept me steady. My lawyer rewrote my will within 48 hours. Everything went to Michael. A trust was created with strict DNA verification requirements for any potential heirs. Jessica would receive nothing if I died. That one change removed her biggest incentive, but it didn't make me safe yet. Then came the accounting. Patricia Reynolds, the forensic accountant, laid it all out in a way that made my stomach churn. Over 4 months, Jessica had siphoned money slowly. Always under reporting thresholds. Small withdrawals that didn't raise flags. A wire transfer of over $300,000 to a shell company in the Cayman Islands. Shed opened credit cards in my name. Maxed them out. Had the bills sent to an apartment in Surrey I'd never heard of. She's methodical, Patricia said. This isn't impulse. This is her job. At dinner, Jessica talked nonstop about the foundation gala coming up in 3 weeks. Shed volunteered on the planning committee. She knew the caterers. The seating arrangements. The security schedule. She wants everything perfect, she said one evening, smiling. It's our first big public event as husband and wife. Detective Wong didn't like that. A public venue gives her opportunity, she told me. Witnesses. Prestige. And a clean narrative if something happens. That's when they told me the truth. I wasn't just being protected. I was bait. 2 days before the gala, Thomas Riley called me. Robert, he said, we executed a warrant on her brother's apartment. They'd found a plan. Detailed. Typed. Timed. They planned to drug my drink at the gala. A combination of medications that would trigger a cardiac event. With my age and medical history, it would look natural. ID collapse. An ambulance would be called. ID die before reaching the hospital. Shed cry beautifully, Thomas said quietly. And inherit everything. My hand shook so badly I had to sit down. You have to arrest her, I said. We will, Detective Wong replied. But we need proof that holds. We need her on record. We need intent. So I still have to go? Yes, she said. But your drink will be switched. Officers everywhere. You won't be in danger. The night of the gala, Jessica dressed me herself. She adjusted my tuxedo collar. Smiled up at me. Told me how proud she was. The ballroom glittered with crystal and light. 700 guests. Champagne fountains. An orchestra playing softly under conversation. Jessica looked radiant in a navy gown, a prosthetic belly carefully disguised by fabric. People congratulated us constantly. You must be so excited, they said. Over the moon, Jessica replied every time. At the bar, I ordered a scotch. Rita Alvarez, the caterer, bumped into me deliberately. Reached for my glass. The bartender swapped it instantly. I drank iced tea that looked like whiskey. Jessica watched me closely. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. She checked her watch. Excused herself to the bathroom. Through the wire, I heard her voice, tight, panicked. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Another voice. Carlos. We abort. Now. When she tried to leave, the officers moved. She ran. Heels kicked off. Gown lifted. Fake belly bouncing awkwardly. They caught her 3 steps from the door. Jessica Hartwell, Detective Wong said loudly, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Her mask fell away completely. "You were supposed to die," she said to me flatly. That was the plan. As they took her away, I didn't feel relief. I felt emptiness. Because the woman I loved had never existed. And I had come closer to death than I would ever admit out loud. The ballroom emptied quickly after the arrest. People whispered as they left, eyes wide, phones already out. By morning, the story would be everywhere. A charity gala turned crime scene. A wealthy developer nearly killed by his pregnant wife, except she wasn't pregnant, and she wasn't really his wife at all. Michael came to my side once the police gave the all-clear. "Dad," he said quietly, gripping my shoulder, "are you okay?" I opened my mouth to answer and realized I didn't know. "I'm standing," I said finally. "That's all Eve got right now." The gala ended early. Donations were still honored. If anything, it became the most talked about charity event Vancouver had seen in years. I left through a side exit with police escort, the cold night air hitting my face like a reset button. The legal process took months. 8 of them. Sarah Martinez was charged with 2 counts of murder for the deaths of David Hartwell and Thomas Bradford, attempted murder of me, fraud, identity theft, and enough financial crimes to fill a ledger. Her brother Carlos was charged as an accomplice. Rita Alvarez took a deal in exchange for her testimony. The courtroom was quiet the day the verdict came back. Guilty on all counts. The judge didn't raise his voice when he spoke to her. He didn't need to. "You exploited grief and loneliness for profit," he said. "You treated human lives as assets to be liquidated. This court sentences you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 25 years on each murder count, to be served consecutively." Sarah didn't react. No tears. No anger. No remorse. Just that same empty look I'd seen when the mask finally slipped. Jennifer Bradford hugged me outside the courthouse. She shook as she cried. "Thank you," she whispered. "You gave my father justice." I didn't feel like a hero. I felt tired. But alive. I sold the Shaughnessy house not long after. Too many memories, some good, too many poisoned. I bought a clean, modern condo overlooking Cole Harbor. Glass, light, no history clinging to the walls. Patricia Reynolds helped recover about 60% of the stolen money. The rest was gone. Spent. Hidden. Irretrievable. I let it go. I still had my business. I still had my health. And most importantly, I still had my son. Michael and I grew closer through everything. He never once said "I told you so." He just showed up. Every deposition. Every court appearance. Every quiet dinner afterward when words felt unnecessary. "You weren't weak," he told me once. "You were human." That woman would have fooled anyone. I started a foundation in Margaret's name. It helps victims of financial fraud and elder abuse, legal assistance, counseling, education. Jennifer joined the board. Together, we made sure other people wouldn't be blindsided the way I had been. A year later, Detective Wong called me. "You stopped her," she said. "We identified 2 more potential victims. Widowers. Wealthy. Vulnerable. She'd been researching them." I sat by my window afterward, looking out at the harbor, watching ships move slowly across the water. I thought about Dr. Morrison's office. About that one sentence, "It's impossible," and how it had saved my life. Another month, maybe 2, and I would have been dead. I would have collapsed believing my wife was carrying my child, never knowing the truth. Instead, I knew everything. And as painful as it was, I understood something clearly now. A beautiful lie can kill you. The truth, no matter how brutal, gives you a chance to live. I'm 63 now. Wiser. More careful. Still open, but no longer blind. And every morning I wake up grateful for the one thing Sarah Martinez never managed to take from me. My life.